now we've had some episodes of The Last of Us to actually get to dissect.
Incredible wardrobe, all distressed with fungus growing through the fabric. It's a practical flamethrower shooting about 30 feet of liquid propane.
I feel like that is a scene that will go down in the HBO history books for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Good morning, Screen Rant, and welcome to Coffee Chats here at Gumption Coffee in Midtown Manhattan. And today I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Gabriel Luna. Gabe, thanks so much for taking the time today.
How you doing, Liam?
I'm fantastic. We spoke earlier at South by Southwest,
about a month
and
ago.
now we've had some episodes of The Last of Us to actually get to dissect. And I'm glad we get to do it over a couple of cappuccinos. And I was reading where your team communicated this to me, that a big gag on set with The Last of Us crew is the cappuccino portraits.
So what I'm doing at this point is, I don't know how this is gonna work. Oh, there's the eyes.
Okay.
There's the hair. And then here's the mustache. So right now I'm drawing Tommy Miller here.
This is very realistic. The mustache is crucial.
There's the mustache.
Obviously.
It doesn't look like anything. I'm gonna send it to Craig.
Yeah,
anyway.
let's get a photo of that so Craig can see for himself. The cappuccino, you wanted oat milk specifically.
Yeah, I'm lactose intolerant. I think we all are.
Well, we're gonna have a lot of coffee today. We're starting with a cappuccino with oat milk. I know you want a double shot of espresso for later.
That's my drink.
A little bit of an
That's
espresso interlude.
Yeah.
Be well caffeinated anyways. I wanna sip these things, but before we get into it, we have a rule on Coffee Chats. Phone sips first.
Phone
So we're
sips.
each gonna grab a little quick photo of ourselves with our coffees.
There you go.
Amazing. Okay, we waited long enough. I need some caffeine.
Let's
My
go.
first coffee was several hours ago. Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
You have some adjectives for me. What's popping out to you?
Kind of cushy.
Okay, that's a new one. We haven't got that one before.
Coffee itself kind of has a caramel, almost like a chocolatey thing. There's like a sweet, there's a can dulce, dulce kind of vibe to it.
Okay, we got
Dulce, cushy, and
one more.
kind of nice, kind of crisp on the back.
Crisp.
A little bit, yeah.
I like crisp. I can tell by your order that coffee is a big part of your life. When did your relationship with coffee begin? Who introduced you to coffee?
Probably my grandma. She just drank black coffee her whole life, so that's kind of how I developed my taste for it. I guess or my lack of, requirements for creamer or anything like that.
You mentioned that working in the business is kind of what really influenced coffee. I can only imagine how much coffee you had to drink before shooting through the valley.
Oh God.
That episode was like Game of Thrones level. It reminded me of the Battle of Winterfell, but in a zombie apocalypse.
Or like Hard Home.
Yeah.
So we usually have a nice, Jacqueline Lesko and Cecil O'Connor, our producers, were always really sweet, constantly with the coffee trucks. So I'm pretty sure they brought one around that time because of how just trying and daunting the task of getting that scene done was, you know what I mean? We shot it over like 3 weeks. And I do remember several coffee trucks coming to set just to like try to smooth it out with everyone who was working so hard. But it was just insane, man. A massive undertaking, pyro going off everywhere, jumping on horses, mounting the horses, riding down the street. 100 stuntmen, 100 plus background actors, all in full prosthetic makeup designed by Barry Gower. Ann Foley and her team, our costume designers, incredible wardrobe, all distressed, with fungus growing through the fabrics, and just everyone looked great. All the monsters looked fantastic. Glenn Ennis, who played the bloater, who was the captain of the Canadian rugby team, and who also played the bear in The Revenant. Just looking less intimidating in his skin-tight performance capture suit and his 8-inch platform boots, weird little Teletubby helmet. But really intimidating when he's wearing his full all-black flame retardant suit that has like freezing gel all over him. And when he's on fire, he's very intimidating. He took 12 or 13 body burns in one day, which is
I was gonna ask you about this because there's several big moments in this episode that we're talking about, but that is your big moment of the episode. It's Tommy fighting a bloater right there with a flamethrower.
Yeah.
This scene was crazy.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, I thought that this was practical. This was
That
CGI.
is practical.
That is practical. Okay.
Well, I mean, Glenn is replaced with a CGI bloater.
Right.
But this is all practical. This is a practical flamethrower shooting about 30 feet of liquid propane. And then as it hits Glenn, we have to replace him with the the 10-foot tall bloater. There were probably some added flames there around the body.
There's a joke going around the internet right now. 100 men versus one gorilla.
I saw that.
100 Jackson residents versus one bloater.
Right.
What number that you come in do you think you can take?
But no weapons, you said?
No weapons.
I mean, I'm coming in at 100, man.
100?
It's like the Royal Rumble.
One good right hook?
It's like in the Royal Rumble in WWE. You got to be the last guy that comes in.
Who's number 30?
Yeah.
Gabriel Luna.
Yeah, exactly. I'll come in at the very end.
This scene must have been like when the bloater falls down, like what's going through Tommy's head in that moment? Like, does he think he's safe?
No, he's ready to die. I mean, at that point, he's ready to die, man. I mean, that's why, when we were shooting that scene, Craig and I talked a lot about it, and I was just, you got to show how afraid he is for the audience and also for just the truth of the character. And he's a brave man, but you're only brave when you fight through the fear. And you have to show his last moment, what he thinks to be his last moments, Did he tell his wife he loved her enough? Does his son know that he cares about him? All these things are flashing through his mind. And that thing is bearing down on him. Flamethrower completely peters out, and it is, and when I read it in the script, I thought it was so cool, man. It just gets up to the door and then finally collapses and dies at my feet. And it was a very tough scene to get because we shot it all in February, March of 24. And then we came back in July to reshoot that whole ending with the bloater, which was intense because we had to call Glenn back and light him up again and just bring the whole crew back in the dead of summer and recreate a blizzard. So it was well worth it, and that's what I love about HBO. It's like to whatever extent they need to go to get it right, they're going to go all the way there. So I appreciated that.
The quality in the season is off the charts, and you mentioned that moment is almost like a peak moment for Tommy in terms of heroicism. You could argue a peak moment of heroicism is also happening for Joel at the same time,
right.
But with his ending. I know you're not in that scene, the scene that everyone had to dance around at South by,
right,
we've all played the game.
Yeah.
Now that we can actually talk about it, that day on set, were you present during Caitlin and Pedro's scene?
Oh man, no, and really kind of in a roundabout way, kind of by request, because I had made the request to Neil and Craig in the first season. Does Tommy need to be there completely incapacitated? Because in the game, Tommy's there and gets knocked out as he enters the
It's
room.
not Dinah. Dinah was switched.
No,
this
it was
time.
just switched,
Yeah.
exactly. And earlier in the game, when they're saving Abby, it's Joel and Tommy that are there, and Tommy very kind of casually, this is Joel, I'm Tommy. You just told the stranger his identity, which I don't think would be true to his training and who he is as a person, right? I just think it was a bit of a kind of a story moment that they did in the game that, if possible, if we could change it, I think it would be interesting to change that. And thankfully, Neil and Craig were both extremely receptive to the idea, and they to the point where, they wrote this whole battle sequence where Tommy can actually be of use to his people and of service to his people, rather than being knocked out as his brother's being murdered. So I mentioned that. They crafted this new kind of structure of the story, and they went, so I wasn't there when they shot that, but from the stories I hear from Izzy and Caitlin and Bella, Pedro was in great spirits, in full prosthetics, crazy makeup that Barry did, and it was thank you very much.
We're getting deep here. We got an espresso break eventually,
Yeah, it was just a really hard day, and I think everybody in the crew was very kind of honorific about it, and as they should be, and Pedro was his same lighthearted self and just kind of making jokes in the full bloody makeup walking around. And it was, but from what I heard, Dina's experience, Izzy's experience, just kind of having her eyes closed, just hearing the scene play out, that the intensity of the day, the heaviness of the day just permeated through everyone. Knowing that, it's a big transition. It's a transition from Joel's leadership and stewardship, Pedro's leadership, to Bella's and Caitlin's, myself, and everyone else who's going to continue telling the story. So it was a dark day, but old Petey Pascal is really a good sport about it, and delivers a beautiful kind of horrifying performance. And Caitlin just shot that scene, shortly after the passing of her mother, and just to come to work and be the professional she was, and to have that liminal plane between her life and the work be so thin at that moment was just unbelievable. So yeah, everyone involved in that scene, they did a really wonderful job. It's an iconic scene from the game, and it's a iconic and heartbreaking scene in our show.
Yeah, it's going to go down in history. I mean, HBO has so many amazing. You were involved in True Detective, one of the most iconic shows on HBO. I feel like that is a scene that will go down in the HBO history books for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
We got deep there. I feel like now's an appropriate time. But Espresso Interlude. Yeah. You're a big espresso guy.
This is more my drink. Yeah, this is should we take another photo?
Might as well. Why not?
Why not?
Here, I'll get your angle first.
Nice.
Amazing. All right.
So let's see what we have here. First of all,
I like that you went to the smell first.
Yeah.
I didn't prompt you to do that on the first one, but I can tell that's how I know you're a coffee connoisseur.
It smells like a lighter roast, which I think it might be.
Should we do our first sip? There we go.
Ooh, yeah, that one's kind of clean, man. It's like, I already said crisp, but there's something about this that is,
This one is hard not to go back to the old reliable and bitter. Because there's a
bitter taste.
There's a bitterness, and sharp too. It hits you instantaneously.
Sharp, yeah. Better, I was gonna say crisp again. We can't use the same sharp.
That's sharp.
Perfect.
Sharp.
Perfect simile there.
You got one more?
There's something kind of smoky about it somehow. It's kind of feeling like it's like the top of the roof of my mouth.
I was gonna say that's where it sits.
Yeah. Dude, there's almost some kind of like beer-like quality to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lager-esque.
Lager-esque.
A little bit. Lager-esque. Is that a new word? We just
Alish.
Alish. Yeah. Sounds fun. I mentioned to you before we started shooting that your look has evolved over the years. It's still clear that Gabriel Luna is behind the mustache, behind the longer hair, but I had this side-by-side photo. We have Gabriel in both frames here, but this is after this, you were telling me?
This is in a little bit of old age makeup and a little graying on the side and everything else.
Sure.
But this, yes, is after this. So this is at my university, St. Edward's University in Austin, where I went to meet the incoming theater students and speak with them. And this, of course, is on the set of the show. This was after this, so yeah.
Okay.
If I shave this off, which my wife really, really would love me to do, and I did briefly when you saw me. No, you saw me, I had a full mustache. I shaved it after I shot the Corona commercials that are airing right now. The Last of Us kind of cross-branding Corona commercials. But I'm regrowing it now, as you can see, for the Terminalist, which I'm doing with Chris Pratt, where I play a former frogman, former Navy SEAL, works for the agency. Much to the dismay of my wife, once again. She had me 10 years younger for about a month and a half, and now we're kind of going back. But yeah, I grew it out originally for Tommy, because I had it a little bit for the Ghost Rider, and then for the most part, I like to be clean shaven. That's how I kind of like to rock. But for Tommy, I grew it out and realized how many grays I have in my chin, so that's even more incentive to keep it kind of close in my close cut.
You mentioned the university element, going back to speak at your school. What does that mean to you?
It's an honor, man, because they put me in the paper, like the Hilltopper Gazette, whatever it is.
Sure.
All the kids show up. I got to speak with all of them. I got to speak to the incoming freshmen who are at audition weekend, which was the same experience I had. And I walked out onto that stage in front of the professors who were there to assess every student who's coming in and auditioning. And I just had flashbacks of just literally being there when I was 18 years old and doing the balcony speech from Romeo and Juliet as my audition piece. Got to go back to my high school as well, Crockett High School. Apparently they're tearing it down in like 3 years, and I already have dibs on one of the chairs that they're gonna put my name on. And
there we go.
Send it to me. So.
Is it in a special location?
Yeah, it's where my mom sat when she saw the show. And and I put her in that seat because that's where I sat in class when we were in our theater class.
is there a piece of imparting wisdom that you always tell younger generations, like one specific quote that you think can guide people to where they want to be?
You know, it's a combination of a lot of different things. My grandpa used to always say, keep moving forward. And that's also apparently a line that Walt Disney used to say all the time. And Walt Disney was born on the same day as I was, December 5th.
Wow.
And so was Neil Druckmann, the creator of The Last of Us, also born on December 5th.
Destiny from the beginning.
And but to that, I added, keep moving forward, even if it means down. And I learned this from my skateboarding friends. If it does in fact mean down, know how to take a fall. And so that's it, you know, whoever's involved, whatever path you're on, always forward, even if it means down. If it does mean down, know how to dust yourself off, take a fall, and get back up. So simple as that.
Before we get out of here, Gabriel, we have another segment on Coffee Chats we love to do called Desert Island Drinks.
Oh,
where
okay.
I'm sure you're gonna have many more coffees, many more espressos before the next time we do this. So, dream guest, dream location, dream drink. Who are you with? Where are you? And what are you drinking?
It's easy, and it's a little bit of maybe a little cheesy, but it's true. My wife's Miranda, because she's just the funniest person, and I've 16 years, man, still in it, and I don't know how she continues to make me kind of crack up the way she does. So, also a big coffee drinker, loves coffee. Her drink is a latte. She likes now she is not lactose intolerant like me, and it's basically milk with a little bit of coffee.
Sure.
And so, yeah, where would we be? We love Italy. I remember we had a beautiful time. Pompeii was really beautiful. Maybe like on the arena sands of the arena in Pompeii, just like sit there together. And hopefully Vesuvius isn't acting up at the time. Either that, or we also love, we go to Kauai a lot, like Honolulu Bay. It's really nice. And sit on the beach there and have a coffee and chat. But if not, my wife, I don't know, maybe like John Lennon or Bob Dylan or Marlon Brando or something like that.
Bob Dylan would be cool.
Yeah.
I saw a Complete Unknown in December. I'm like, I'd love to get into the psyche of that guy.
Yeah.
It'd be real fun. Well, anyways, Gabriel, thank you again so much for joining me. New episodes of The Last of Us every Sunday on HBO and also on Max. You can check out other episodes of Coffee Chats here on Screen Rant with Noah Centineo, Jack Quaid, Bryce Dallas Howard. Go ahead and rewatch this one with Gabriel Luna. And if you're watching us right now, let us know what you're drinking with Coffee Chats. Yeah. I'd love to see some images on social media of fans with their coffee, with their cappuccinos, with their lattes, with Coffee Chats on in the background. So please tag @ScreenRant on social media. And until next time, we'll see you soon.